We currently live in the most dystopian f***ing timeline possible because Dr. Phil is currently in Chicago, where I live and where I'm building my studio, so he can film the routine ICE deportations and then blast it on TV to act like Trump is actually doing the mass deportations he promised when he's not. And a lot of Trump supporters are realizing that they're just doing the routine deportations with extra racism sprinkled on top. For example, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement posted a few days ago, enforcement updates, 538 arrests, 373 detainers lodged. And someone responded, in 2024, ICE deported 271,500 individuals. If you divide that by 365 days, that's about 745 deportations in a day. So what are they really bragging about here? Even Nick Fuentes, like the worst person in the world, tweeted out the other day, ICE deportations under Trump. January 21st, 308. January 22nd, 460, 538, 594. The total, it was 1,900. This was a few days back. That's an average of 475 per day or 173,000 per year. That is less than what Biden did. ICE only arrested 286 illegal immigrants for deportation today, far below Biden's rate of 742 deportations per day in the fiscal year of 2024. Even someone named middlemaga.com responded, Trump understands it's all about the marketing, not about the action taken. I've liked Tom Homan, but I'm starting to think he's all marketing. So of course, not every single MAGA voter has woken up, but some people on Twitter are like, wait a minute. Are they just recording this, blasting it on TV, sensationalizing it a little bit, sprinkling a little bit more racism on top and acting like they're doing mass deportations? Yes. The answer is clearly yes. Even a U.S. military veteran was detained the other day because he was vaguely brown and they let him go. But it's just, they've been profiling a bunch of people only to carry out the average deportation. Someone here said, sorry, but why is Dr. Phil out doing immigration busts? He's not a federal law enforcement agent. He is a talk show host and lapsed psychologist. This is just deeply silly, but there is an explanation, and it's that Donald Trump is good at marketing himself, but he's not good at the actual governing part. We've seen this time and time again. During Trump's first term, he made all of these crazy promises, then he under-delivered, but he still tried to market himself as this genius every single time, and that's why Trump's cabinet picks include a lineup of former fellow TV stars. From MTV reality show contestants to billionaire media moguls, here are the former TV stars Trump has nominated for key positions so far. We have Pete Hegseth. We have Linda McMahon. I mean, all of the people he's floating, half of the people in his cabinet are straight from the television so that they could help sell Donald Trump's vision without him actually having to do anything. So they can distract away from inflation not going down, prices actually going up when we continue to get in trade wars. So they can distract from the fact that Trump's not doing mass deportations. Again, he's doing the routine deportations. And I'm gonna give you guys some more numbers in a minute to prove that. But look, Sean Duffy, MTV star turned politician, he's only hiring people, not only, but he's largely hiring people who have been proven to be good on TV. Dr. Oz, TV doctor, Linda McMahon, Pete Hegseth, he plucked straight from Fox News. All of these people are performance artists who don't have any experience in governing. I mean, this dude is not qualified to run the Department of Defense, but he got confirmed. Which brings me back to the main story. Why is Donald Trump having Dr. Phil, who's completely unqualified, walking alongside Tom Homan, the border czar, in Chicago, where I currently am? It's to try to sell it, to try to sensationalize it. ICE arrests dozens in Chicago as a part of a targeted operation with Dr. Phil broadcasting live. U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement officially launched, quote, enhanced targeted operations in Chicago on Sunday following a week-long frenzy of reported sightings since President Trump's inauguration. But again, the numbers haven't really increased on a day-to-day basis compared to the Biden era, or at least 2004. Let's just break down the raw numbers. These are deportations from the Interior and Border Enforcement per year from 2003 to 2024. Let's break down these raw numbers and just talk about the natural level of deportation that happens every single year. Because yes, There are criminals who come into the United States. That doesn't mean every immigrant is a criminal, as Republicans want you to think, but there are deportations that need to happen every year. And you can see, under the Bush administration, it slowly goes up, and Obama carries on what the Bush administration was doing. He was actually known as somebody who deported a lot of immigrants for a multitude of reasons. He had a really strong message on the border. And then it goes down at the end of the Obama administration, and Trump continues the base level of deportations from the Obama era. You can even see it goes down during Trump's first year. So this is proof that Trump in his first term was all bluster. He was all talk. He talked about being this insane border enforcer. He was going to do mass deportations, but he continued the same rate that Obama had because the president isn't really able to increase or decrease deportations in a massive way. Biden wasn't purposefully decreasing deportations here. This was just during the COVID pandemic where there was a natural decrease. And you can see by the end of Biden's term, he increased it back to the base level where it was during Trump's first term. If Trump's actions lined up with his rhetoric, then we would see a huge spike in deportations during his first term. But you just don't see that because, yes, the president can do some executive actions to prioritize certain resources, but you cannot deport 12 to 15, some people have said 21 million illegal immigrants. But let's break this down. Dr. Phil joined Chicago immigration raid as border czar says more arrests are coming. The TV personality Dr. Phil joined the U.S. border czar Tom Homan in a choreographed immigration raid in Chicago. Completely choreographed. It's all for show. Kind of reminds me of Trump's McDonald's stunt. I know that we thought that was cringe, but apparently they polled focus groups, and a lot of people liked Trump's McDonald's stunt, his garbage truck stunt. He knows how to market himself, but he doesn't know how to actually govern or increase the amount of arrests. And I would play this clip of Dr. Phil. I'll play a few seconds, but I don't want to give their stunts free coverage when I don't have to.
That we have with some of the pushback that ICE has been getting from the sanctuary cities is they're saying, no, we don't want to cooperate with you. We don't want to give you access to some of the people that we may have arrested that may be in jails. You need to go get warrants.
All right, let me reiterate something I've been saying a lot over the past few days. Trump and the people around him always manufacture problems. They create problems out of thin air. Then they convince people that these problems are real. They are existential. And then they come in and do nothing and act like they solved the problem. So for example, we can look at the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization is a pretty well-functioning body that the U.S. was a founding member of, and Trump recently pulled this out because of conspiracy theories that he created. We can even go to what happened yesterday with Colombia. Colombia and the United States are allies. During Biden's presidency, hundreds and hundreds of planes were allowed into Colombia to drop off immigrants that were deported, mostly illegal immigrants. And then what Trump does is he manufactures a problem by sending deported immigrants yesterday in a military plane, handcuffed with chain links around their legs. And then when the president, Petro, says, hey, we're not going to take our citizens like this. They're not criminals. They're human beings. Trump manufactures the crisis even further. He starts to talk about tariffs and visa sanctions. He basically throws a tantrum. And then Petro picks up the immigrants the right way with the presidential plane, and then Trump and his White House come out with a press release saying, problem solved, Colombia caved, everything is good, when there was no problem in the first place. Colombia, they're our allies. They have been our allies for a while. There was no need to turn it into this big debacle. So what I'm saying here is they are claiming that there are sanctuary cities. Dr. Phil and Donald Trump will relentlessly claim that Chicago is a sanctuary city. I mean, the way they talk about Chicago, you'd think it's Afghanistan right now, and that there are illegal immigrants running around committing a bunch of crimes while there are gunshots ringing out. It's not like that at all. It's an incredibly nice city, but they talk about sanctuary cities. And they talk about they want to keep all of the criminals like safe from being arrested. That is not what's going on. For example, here, Tom Homan and Dr. Phil posted a video of them engaging with a Thailandese national who has been detained by federal authorities due to a history of sex crimes. Here's the thing. If you want to deport somebody with a history of sex crimes who was charged and actually convicted, then go ahead. I'm not going to be like, yeah, keep this person in the United States, especially if they're here illegally. I don't care. You can deport people who have committed a repeated chain of crimes. And this guy, in particular, was only charged, not convicted, number one. So he should have due process. But also, this is something that would have happened either way. Their own wording in this post proves that the system is working as intended. They posted a video of somebody who had been detained by federal authorities and was going through the process of being deported and because of his crimes, and now they're just televising this and they're making it seem like Dr. Phil and Trump and Tom Homan are onto some huge national scandal where people are being held. Let me just play part of this video.
What's your name?
Seda.
Seda what? Do you have a first and last name?
Sam.
Seda Sam?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
Where are you born?
Thailand.
Why is there a TV psychologist carrying out mass deportations? This is one of the wackiest things I've ever seen.
You've been deported before from the United States?
No.
Never been deported?
But I've been in the system before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been charged with
Charged for?
before?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna talk about lawyer.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom's a citizen.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
Again, he asks, what have you been charged with? And even if he was charged with this repeatedly, then yes, you can deport him.
But you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
You're Dr. Phil.
You're Dr. Phil. I mean, it's just, you guys get how it's all sensationalized. It's all for show, right? David Axelrod said, what does it tell you that the delegation that arrived in Chicago yesterday to commence the deportation operation included Dr. Phil? Was he there to minister the ICE agents, the arrested immigrants, or was he there to turn this into must-see TV? Again, this chart right here proves that Trump's first term didn't have any unique amount of deportations. In fact, Obama deported more than him. But also, this says the Biden administration is on pace to match Trump's deportation numbers, and this was for the year of 2024. So just to recap, the deportations themselves are just routine enforcement actions carried out every single year since the Bush era, the Obama era, the Trump era, the Biden era. But Trump adds a layer of overt racism, and now they're profiling more and more people, and a showmanship that's designed to inflame tensions, a showmanship that's designed to make people think these mass deportations are being carried out. And we've got a lot to push back on. And really quickly, I think we can all agree that social media is often at the heart of the misinformation and disinformation in our political landscape. Right now, Twitter is a mess that amplifies all of Trump's lies in the algorithm, and I was equally as surprised to hear that Meta appears to be giving up any guardrails to ensure honest information is shared on their platforms like Facebook or Instagram. This article headline reads, Meta is ending its fact-checking program in favor of a community note system similar to X. And the timing of all of this feels a little bit more suspicious because it's right as Trump took office and Zuckerberg has been cozying up with MAGA. This reads, from liberal darling to phone calls with Trump, Mark Zuckerberg's political transformation. At the same time, as you can see here, UFC boss Dana White and close Trump ally has joined Meta's boards of directors. Why? Why is he on there? But over 750 outlets have covered Meta ending fact-checking on their platforms. And out of the 772 total news sources, 114 of them lean left, 117 of them lean right, and 128 of them are centrist. So this means there's a 36% distribution bias towards the center. But the framing of the story in the headlines is as divided as I have ever seen. So a left-leaning news source says, Meta announces a new Trump-friendly fact-checking policy. A centrist news source says, Meta ends third-party fact-checking program, adopts X-like community notes model. That comes from Reuters. And Fox News, of course, a right-leaning news source, said, Meta ends fact-checking program as Zuckerberg vows to restore free expression on Facebook and Instagram. So people on the left rightfully framed it as Trump-friendly fact-checking policy as there was on Twitter, and people over at Fox News on the right said they are restoring free speech, restoring free expression. So being able to see the framing side by side makes it finally possible to cut through the different narratives and get the real news and hold media and elected officials accountable. And that's exactly why I'm partnering with Ground News for this video. Even if they weren't the sponsor, I still use it all the time, but now they are helping me out. They're helping this channel grow in the digital media space, and they can help you as well. Ground News is an app and a website that gathers related articles from around the world into one consolidated place. But they give you context about each source's political leaning. Are they right-leaning? Are they left-leaning? They give you context about the factual reliability of each source. So Fox News isn't incredibly reliable. And most importantly, they tell you who owns each source of news. This lets you see through the bias and think critically about the news you're consuming, all in a single, easy-to-read feed. I also want to know that the news is not trying to sway me one way or the other, so Ground News even has a blind spot section that shows you news stories that each side is ignoring. So for the left blind spot, Joe Biden appeared to fall asleep in the middle of a meeting. This did happen, and 88% of the people that covered it were right-leaning news sources. This means 88% of the sources were biased towards the right. On the other side of that, the GOP resistance to Tulsi Gabbard's nomination is seeing a lack of coverage from any conservative sources, and this is a big story. Tulsi Gabbard as a DNI would be detrimental to our country, but the right is not covering it. You have 59% of the coverage coming from centrist news sources, 26% coming from left-leaning, and only 15% coming from right-leaning news sources. They're not covering it at all. Another really cool thing is Ground News has a feature called My News Bias, which is a personal dashboard that gives me a detailed look at the news that I'm reading. It shows me which sources I check out the most, it shows me their bias, which ones are independent versus media conglomerates, and which geographic regions the stories that I read are related to. So between their blind spot, between their section for news biases, and even their daily briefing, which breaks down the day's biggest stories, showing the facts and the leanings of each source, it's a great tool to have at your disposal. And because they're a long-term partner to my channel here, I can get you a fantastic discount, which is 40% off. That's 40%. 40% for a limited time on their Vantage plan, which includes unlimited access to every feature that I just listed and the features that I use on a day-to-day basis. So the next time that you feel like you're being pushed or persuaded, or you just want another point of view, check out Ground News with my unique link, ground.news/am. Or in the description below, you'll get the full link and you can get the full picture. Again, ground.news/am. I'd like to give a huge thank you to Ground News for helping support my channel, helping support this digital media space. Go check it out. Have a great rest of your day. I love you guys, and peace out.